we doing this one a little bit different tonight. I don't have an HVAC in my shop yet. It's 47 degrees. I'm in shorts, but here we go. Look at this chaos, man. Got my laser here. Look at this chaos. You ready? You ready? Uh-oh. 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 Ooh. That looks like a lot of work. This also helps me get to another video of underpricing my work, which I'll never do again. This will help keep me warm. Little project. Oh, excuse me while I do it tonight. I'm a one-man show and I am multitasking. So here we go. Welcome. Hey, thanks for checking out my video. It's the 13th Avenger, Hoodie Johnson. Now I'm playing. This is Corey, Reedy River Goods. I'm in my attic tonight, freezing my behind off. We trying to stay warm. I want to talk tonight about if you're selling online goods, in this case, leather goods. I have had an Etsy shop for quite a few years now. To toot my own horn, which I hate doing, but for this sake, I need to. I am a 5-star seller on Etsy, which I'm very proud of. I hate saying it out loud, but it's true. They started this badge. I don't really like it. Whatever. This badge program, maybe a year or so back, and I've been consistently going through there. But if you're new to leather sales or selling goods online, whether it's Etsy or any other platform, it can be terrifying. At first, you start selling some things, you get super excited, and you're like, oh shoot, people actually have an opinion on what I sell them. So now I gotta really put my best foot forward and make sure I am getting this done. Tonight's gonna be a little bit different than usual. I am backed up on some work, like you saw earlier, them portfolios I'm doing. So I am multitasking. I'm gonna be doing a little bit of work here, but hopefully I'm gonna be spitting some knowledge at you. And if you got any questions or anything, let me know. Like I said, these are just a few of my pointers. What's got me to, and I don't have a ton of sales, like 1,400 sales, something like that, and maybe 400 or 500 5-star reviews. I can remember, and each one of these examples, I can remember the customer that sent back a review that wasn't, I think I've had 4, maybe 5, let's say 4, sounds better. I call them negative reviews, not 5-star reviews over that time. And so these are geared towards basically trying to help you out to avoid these things in the future, even though this idea that the customer is always right, complete nonsense. I worked in retail 20-something years ago. I thought it was nonsense then, and today I can still tell you it's nonsense now. They're not always right, but sometimes they are, and that's cool. But I want to just talk through some customer reviews and how to get yourself ahead of negative reviews and to try to stay in that positive, because people look at this stuff, and if you got some bad reviews and you got 2.3 stars, my wife's a great example. She's not even gonna look at your thing if you got less than, you start to see that shade down to the 4.2, 4.1, you forget it. She's gonna go to the other one that has the 5 stars in there. So it is important. I know it's not everything, but you wanna put out a good product. You want people to be happy with what they purchased. Sometimes I feel like I do it to a fault, which I may cut into my own pockets. But again, I've withheld this for about 5 years now, and I'm super proud of it. And, I wouldn't do anything different if I had to in regards to how I treat my customers. And I love having them come back. Bonus, Santa Claus left me a 5-star review. What else can I say? I mean, I feel like I could just say that. This video's over. Santa Claus. You hear that? Santa Claus left me a 5-star review. Boom! Anyway, let's get into it. So one more thing before I get started. I sincerely appreciate, I hit over 1,000 subscribers after this past video I put out. I don't know how it happened, but I do appreciate it. If you stop by my channel, if you come back again, you thought what I did was nice, I do appreciate it. And I think because I'm just not greedy like some folks, and I allow you to either leave a comment, or you can hit me with the like, or you can subscribe. Either way, Doesn't have to be all three, any of the three, and I appreciate it. But it's got me over 1,000. It's got me rejuvenated. I got a page. You see my notebook here. I got about 50 ideas of videos that I want to put out. So it's just a matter of time. That's why I'm trying tonight, just to multitask. But this is one I've been wanting to do for a while, to really talk about these reviews. And if you're selling things online, how to really focus, especially early on when you don't have any reviews. The last thing you want is to start out with a couple negatives. So hopefully this will help you kind of jumpstart this process and get you a couple to really gain some momentum over time. Because it's kind of terrifying. I've been there, and I want to spread some of this to you. So I appreciate you subscribing. I appreciate you viewing. Stay tuned. So when it comes to leather sales online, depending on what kind of leather goods that you're selling, one of the things, and this may be self-explanatory, but this description, when you are listing items, the description is going to be your best friend, because that's all the information the customer needs to know before they purchase this. So there shouldn't be any surprises when they get it. This was one of the first, I think I had gotten maybe 100 or so 5-star reviews, and this was the first one that was like a 3 or a 2. And I was so mad because, and this is where I get to, the customer's not always right. The person put in there about the size of it. They're saying, oh, it's so small, and it's this and that, and the cards stick out too far. This was a little card holder that I made. It was a pretty cheap item too, which stinks. But but in this case, she basically was saying how small it was and that the card stuck out too far. Now the problem with that is, I had pictures of the exact template that I was selling, and the cards stuck out just the same length that it was, because I do the same template every time. So I know it was the same size. Not only that, in the description, I put the exact measurements of the length, the width, the thickness, to describe it to a T, and yet I got a less than stellar review, we'll say that. So what I do in this case is, because it was my first one and I didn't want to, you know, my natural instinct, I don't know about everybody, my natural instinct is to buck back and crush somebody, especially when they're in the wrong. But in this case, I was like, look, what can I do to make it right? I'll remake it, I'll resize it, it's no problem of me. And this is something I always do, is let my customers know, if you have any complaints or anything that you don't think is right or should be different, let me know first, let me correct it, then you can leave a bad review if I don't do those things. So I ended up remaking this thing, and this one sticks out to me so much because I remade it and I lengthened the item. I got it to where this particular customer wanted it, and then expecting that she would redo her review, because you're allowed to do it once on Etsy. As long as the seller doesn't respond, the customer can change their review. This time I don't even know if that was true, but that was in past years they've done that. But anyway, she loved it, the second one that I made, and was happy with the size and everything there, even though I had clearly put the size in the description. It's fine. I don't even, you know, whatever. Years later, I don't even care, do I? She sends me a message on Etsy saying this was her new review, and just listed out how great it was, how awesome, 5-star, whatever. It wasn't an actual review. She just sent me a message, which was great because I knew she liked it and it could actually be used. But it helped me none, because the review stayed from the original, you know, the original time where she put it was too short and it was stupid and the cards hung out too long. So be as descriptive as absolute possible when you are writing in these things. The exact measurements, length, width, thickness. I even go as much to describing the thickness of the leather that I'm using, the types of the leather that I'm using, because it does take some education, because pictures can be very deceiving. When you look at some of these, I don't have a fancy camera. I wish I did. I don't. So I feel like my pictures are pretty, you know, spot on as far as sizing. They don't look deceiving or anything. But sometimes you can see some stuff and it's such a close angle and there's such pretty pictures. It may look way bigger, way smaller, way nicer, whatever it looks, I don't know. But it can be, you know, difficult to discern from that regard. But in that case, that's one, I remember that was my first review that I got negative, and it was, look at this. It was so frustrating just because I put all that information in the actual description. But the description is your best friend. Use it, use it, use it. Be as precise as possible. You don't want to get people surprised. So make sure they know the exact measurements of this item, the thicknesses, the lengths, the width. Be as just descriptive as you can be in writing that that description, because again, it's the only thing that you have to actually describe this item. It may look a certain way, but you need to be able to describe it to a T and make sure it's spot on. With that too, let's say you have a wallet or something like that. You want to, and this is something I for sure wanted to do, was describe the capacity. How much can that wallet hold? Is it a slim card holder that can maybe hold 6 cards comfortably? Or is it a Big Mac, you know, a monster wallet that can hold 15 cards or whatever? Make sure they know if it has, how many compartments it has, how many pockets, if it has space for holding currency, if it has only a couple space for holding cards. Any little detail like that that you can add is just going to be more helpful and you know, to the person buying it, so they know exactly what they're getting and there's no surprises once they unwrap it. Now with leather, I'm gonna go out on a limb, but with leather, I would say more than any other medium out there, there's so much difference in between every piece of leather that you work with. So describing leather, this is where it takes an education, because this is something I had to learn when I first started. There's so many different variations of leather. Not only that, leather acts differently. So a chrome tan is going to be different than a vegetable tan. And is there a break-in process? I didn't know about any things. I didn't even think about it before. Will it patina? What happens when it patinas? It starts at this color, it changes this color. What the heck is pull-up effect? What the heck is that? Let's see, watch this. That's pull-up. Anyway, but these are things that you have to educate on. This was another example I got, and this again, where the customer's not always right. You can tell I hold a grudge with all these negative reviews. But there was I sold a Wicket and Craig. This was a watch strap that I made, and it was gorgeous. I think it was hand stitched down the sides. I had it stitched all the way along, custom size, everything fit his watch case beautifully. In the review, there was 2 things that were incorrect, and this one I did buck back because what he was saying was just false. So I had to, just to defend my product, and I also put back in my thing, if you don't like it, I will replace it, whatever. Never heard back from the guy. Also, I might be a little sensitive because I think it was a 4-star review, so it wasn't terrible. But what he said had upset me because 2 things. One, he said the leather didn't seem like it was like a high-end leather. So it was a Wicket and Craig vegetable tan leather, which is gonna be more rigid. You give that thing 2-3 months of actual use and it will be the best piece of leather you've probably worn on your wrist. So over the years, you probably had all these trash bands, whatever, and they fell apart. But this Wicket and Craig, it was a vegetable tan. It's obviously more rigid. It's a real robust leather. The colors are awesome on it. It's gonna patina over time. It's gonna break in over time, but he didn't allow for that. And basically it was just taking it at face value of, oh, this doesn't feel, you know, super soft like that trash I'm used to buying. Whatever, that's fine. But that's an area where I could have explained more, and I tried to my best, saying, hey, this is a vegetable tan, it'll break in, it'll become softer and more supple over time with use, and it kind of improves with age as you use it. The second thing he put in there, which this one caught me sideways, he was saying that the buckle was plastic. So I use one buckle. I take that back. I do have a standard buckle that I use. It's from Buckle Guy. It's a stainless steel. It's a matte finish, and I think that's what threw him off. But it's a matte finish stainless steel buckle, and he said it was plastic, which was not correct. I've never used a plastic buckle to sell anything, and I wouldn't, even if requested probably. But things like that are completely false looks ridiculous on me. So I made for sure that I kind of put that back in my feedback. So I probably jumped the gun too much, because like I mentioned earlier on Etsy, if the seller responds, then the review can't be changed. But with what he said, and I feel like I needed to get that out there, so I took the heat on the 4-star review. But at this point I had enough 5-star reviews where I knew it was gonna buffer it, so I felt like getting and I hate that I'm like that, but I am, and I just have to admit it. I shouldn't be, but I am. So hey, I can admit it. But with leather especially, there's so many different characteristics, and again, this goes with the thickness. I've seen people sell like 2.5 ounce watch straps. Anyway, so be as specific as possible. Describe the leather that you're using, describe the characteristics of that leather, and try to give the best description you can give on that leather, because people need an education. A lot of times, and I have some videos on this, but people are so used to like genuine leather, this nonsense that they put together, and it's just kind of byproducts of all the trash that they use. Feels smooth, looks nice, but doesn't hold up worth the crap. So when they're actually introduced to something that is very nice, they don't understand that there's a break-in process and that actually improves as you use it. So I think, especially with leather, it's such every piece is so different. You really need to try to explain the different characteristics of it as best you can. And as you know, they give you a fair amount of time to type in there, a fair amount of characters that you can write. So really try to describe it the best route you can. I also think with this, when you do take photos, so in my case, I usually have one item that I take a photo of, and then more times than not, especially because watch bands and things like that, I have a stock photo, and then I make them custom to the size of the watch case and length of the wrist and things like that. So explaining that, the one that you see may have some different variations, especially with leather, because that one little strip of leather, you can get 3 sides of leather, they're all gonna look different. You could cut a piece, every one of them the same exact spot, and it's gonna look different. So explaining that the photos, there's gonna be some variation. There may be, and some people are real smart to it, and they want certain things in there, which is cool. But a lot of folks don't have any understanding that, you know, they see a picture, it should look like that, and there's no other reason it shouldn't. And so just trying to explain that in the photos, it may look a little bit different from what you actually get, but it will be the same piece of leather, and then you have all the other characteristics explained from there. One thing I dislike about Etsy when it comes to especially selling leather goods like this and custom leather goods is the shipping and processing time, because you never know how many orders you're going to get in. My shop isn't huge. It's not like I'm raking in 25 orders a day or anything like that. So I may have 2 orders pending, I may have 8 orders pending, I may have 12. I never know. It just kind of comes in as. So it's really hard to set a shipping date that I can be comfortable with. And this is one I've had to tinker with. And Etsy itself will kind of toy with your mind as the seller, because they're saying, hey, items that ship quicker generally sell better. So it's like, okay, well, let me put the shortest amount of processing time in there. I can do this in 3 to 5 days. But then all of a sudden I get 4 wallet orders in, and I just do this on the side. Maybe I have 2 hours at night, hour and a half at night. There's no chance I'm getting that out in 3 days. This last one ordered, maybe that first one. So you kind of get in this situation to where you're having to kind of play a game of like, well, I want to seem like I'm eager and willing to do it. And not only that, it'll say 3 to 5 days, and then I want to say it's like 1 to 2 weeks. So there's really no like buffer in there. I mean, 2 weeks and 6 days that's a big difference. So I think I've erred on the side of as I've gone forward, so in my most recent year, so when I first started, I didn't have that many orders coming in. It was fine. I could fulfill them pretty quickly and get them out on time or super early. But as I've gotten more popular and people have come back to my site, I kind of had to have a little more buffer in there. So I put like the 7 to 10 or 1 to 2, I forget what it is, but I've kind of had to put that in there so it doesn't look like I'm getting them out as fast. But if I don't have any others done, I mean, that sucker's out within 2-3 days. If I got a bunch of orders pending, it just saves me so I don't look like I'm behind, or just gives me that extra time to work with it. Because, and I feel like this is probably the most feedback that I get, is if maybe I have watch bands or watch straps will be at like 3 to 5 days, and you start getting to the 4th day, it's like, I haven't heard from the seller, my item hasn't shipped yet. It's like, well, shoot, I got 5 days, let me get it out. It's probably close to ready, might be shipping tomorrow, right? But people, as it gets closer, they start getting a little more anxious, and that's when you start to see messages come through and checking on their item and making sure it's getting ready. When in the meantime, I'm, trying to put together 4 or 5 of them to get shipped out within that next 3 days or whatever. And so it's kind of a tricky game. I say for my bigger items, I can, something like a wallet, if I'm having a hand cut, that's another thing. I don't really have any good way to scale things yet. And so I'm still making everything by hand, cutting everything by hand, stitching everything by hand. So wallets are going to take a whole lot longer than, or bags or whatever, are going to take a whole lot longer than a watch strap. And so those might need to take a week to 2 weeks. And I got to be okay with that. At first I wanted to seem like, oh, I'll get it done, no problem. But, again, I do this very part-time, and I may not get it done. I may have 100 other things I got to do at the house, or, may have a kid crying at night and I can't get here, or a kid's sick or whatever. Again, I do this just a couple hours a night. And so I've kind of had to toy with that, but I think for my wallets, I've just had to kick those out and be good with it. I can't produce one in 3 to 5 days consistently. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. So I've had to just live with it. But given a realistic time frame is something for sure that is helpful to folks, because they start getting antsy if they haven't heard anything. And a lot of times too, what I'll do is I'll update somebody. So if it's 1 to 2 weeks and I'm getting to that like 8-9 days and they haven't heard anything, just to let them know it's legitimate, whatever. I'm like, hey, I'm working on it. Maybe I'll send them some photos, whatever. And that'll kind of ease that, and just give them a heads up. But communication, from what my wife says, communication is my worst thing that I probably do. But in my Etsy shop, that's probably the number one thing that I see there is the seller communicates, and that is so important. In communicating those things, and even if it's just, hey, I'm running behind, whatever, explaining whatever it is, but making it personal, and making sure you respond to these people, because they think they're the one sale. So hey, I ordered something, it's supposed to be out in 5 days. Let them know if it's going to be 5 days. If it's not, then let them know that too. But I think that goes further than just kind of letting it go and it's like, well, it'll be out when it'll be out. I'll ship it on that 5th day, even if it's going to be that 5th day. Maybe just a heads up of like, hey, I got caught behind, whatever, it's out tomorrow. It'll be first thing in the morning. It'll be out the door. So just communicating that is one of the biggest things you can do, really, to help ease people's mind as they're kind of waiting on those things. Because they, especially ordering something online, you don't know. Maybe it's the first time they've ever ordered from a site, and all of a sudden it's 3-4 days past and they haven't heard anything. They probably think they got scammed, especially with online sales now. You never know what's what. I think Etsy's legitimate enough to where it's not too sketchy, and that's where these reviews come into play. It's like, hey, this person has, 400 or 500 5-star reviews. I feel pretty good about this item coming as described, and coming as, on time as expected. It's probably where I'm just gonna talk about myself again, where I shine the most, but it's, I'm gonna call it massaging what I, so just in the responses I get, let's say I get a message about a custom order or something like that, based off of how that message comes through, I can tell the folks that they kind of really want to be involved in the process, And a few times what I've done, and I think this is probably one of the best things, I know I've caught a couple and I've gotten ahead of it before too, where maybe I'll take some photos or I'll take a little video of the process of what I'm doing. Maybe I'll take a picture of when I get the leather in or whatever. They want some specific leather or something like that. I'll take some pictures of it. Maybe I'll pull the pull up in there and I'll crinkle it up and kind of show some of that. Or I'll show myself cutting or take a little video of me, doing some edge work on it and having that little thing fire off the side. And so that's one of those where it's just that nice touch. And I do this especially when I have a lot more time. But you can just tell the folks that want to be a little bit more involved, they'll message you a number of times and you can tell they just have like a different level of care that they're putting in with this item. Or maybe somebody wants it for a present for someone, and they want it to be, just perfect. I've even made some YouTube videos of stuff that people have made as birthday gifts and give them a shout out in there. But just something like that, that's just going to be that little bit extra, I guess touch that you have where you can really make someone feel like they're the only customer, or like, so much importance was put on that item. And I love when I do that because I just get the best responses. A lot of times people will send me pictures of maybe a watch that they bought, and they'll just let me design, come up with whatever design I want. So I'll find, something I'll look through, and I want to make something unique and something special that goes to that. So, I try to go off the board a little bit with what they may be expecting, but I have a lot of options in my shop for leather, and so I'll just try to find some cool combinations. Maybe I'll try to match up some little part on their watch face with the thread that I use, or the buckle is going to be something, maybe a little spicy, that I can really try to personalize it and make it something custom, make it something that's just a little different than what you may see, your standard stuff that you may buy. And that's what a lot of Etsy is. It's kind of getting those items that aren't maybe right off the shelf, and maybe you're just getting that little bit of extra special touch in there. Because if I'm being honest, I haven't, and this is probably something too that would be great for reviews, but personally I haven't used my, how I present the item, how I ship it, and those things aren't that special. They're not that nice. I mean, it's unfortunate, but I don't spend much time there. I don't spend much money on that. I put together a nice little leather tag with my logo on it, something like that, but nothing too extravagant. They're not getting some box that they essentially sent in a little bubble shipper with my little logo on a little piece of leather. My wallets, I like to put a little card in there, just a little thank you card and whatever. But that's probably an area that I could improve upon. But I haven't had to use it at this point. It would just kind of add a little nice touch to my orders. Maybe something to consider. And maybe I should for 2025. But I do have that extra little touch, and I love doing that. Sending little videos, even just cutting leather, whatever it may be, showing the pattern all cut out, just showing something that's a really, really nice touch that shows the process of what you're doing or what you're building, and that really, really adds a nice little touch. And that is how I got Santa to give me a 5-star review. I feel like I should be famous, man. When's Santa handing out 5-star reviews? But I think that's one of my favorite things to do, and I like it even better when I get ahead of it. And this is what happened with, so this fella had bought a wallet from me, and he was so into the details, and I was cool with it, man, because I don't think I had that much going on at the time. So I was all in. He wanted like a specific exterior, super specific interior, the stitching looked like this side he wanted like this, and I sent him pictures along the way. And then turns out this fella, during the season, he's a Santa Claus. It's the real Santa Claus, but he is Santa Claus. So he goes out to a certain place, whatever, and he wanted a little card holder from there, and he gave me free reign to do whatever I wanted. So I found this dope red leather, and I wrapped it like a candy cane, did all this cool design, and I mean, dude just loved it. But it was one of those things where we made that connection early, where I was sending him photos of certain things, and because I could tell just by how he was responding to me that that was the kind of thing he appreciated, and so I wanted to kind of fill him in on it. But that was probably, you know, it's things like that that those customers keep coming back, and then they end up giving you free reign to do whatever you want. They're like, this dude's creative, he's gonna do something awesome, you know, I want something for this and this size, go to work, right? That's some of my favorite customers that I, you know, again, they come back and back and back more times than not, and you just end up being their guy, so, or gal. So in this case, like I said, you know, it's the real Santa Claus, so it's not like some bogus one, but he, yeah, it was something that I could tell early on in the process. You know, he really appreciated that, so I tried to give it back and really show the process and all the stuff I was using, and man, it built a relationship. Now I've probably sold, I don't know, 4 or 5 things to him now, so but that's probably one of my biggest strengths when it comes to customer reviews and things like that, is just that communication on, even if it's, hey, the leather got delivered today, I'm gonna start working on it tonight. Something so simple, just a quick message, just to let them know they're on your mind, or they're, you know, they're in line, they're second in line, whatever it's gonna be for their project. So that's probably one of the bigger things for me that I like to do, is just that communication and really keeping the customers in tune with where their order is and making it feel that little bit extra special. Something, and this is probably the last one, but something I want, you know, if someone buys something from me, and this may be even to a fault, sometimes I'll do, but if someone buys something from me and they don't like it, or they can't wear it, or they can't use it, then that's on my conscience. I don't like that. So I tell folks, and I even put this in the description, if anything or something's off and you don't like it, reach out and let me know. Let me correct it. More times than not, I'm gonna go above and beyond. And I think that, you know, this is just a personal thing, which again, it's probably to a fault, but I know I've lost money just because I don't want to have that on my conscience. If somebody purchases something from me, I want them to be able to use it, it be able to work, fit right, whatever it is. I've told people to just keep stuff, and I'll make another one and send it. That way they don't have to send it back, or, you know, that inconvenience. And I know that's not a way to do business, but especially early on, if something's not right and it was on me, let me make it right. You know, it's my time in the end, but also it shows that I care enough about my products. And I think that's, to sum it all up, you know, put the effort into it, use nice materials. The things they'll sell themselves, essentially, when you make nice stuff and actually put that touch into it, and put that level of detail in there. But I appreciate you coming by. I know this may be a little unorthodox from what you may be used to seeing, but hopefully I'm trying to do some things different and have a little different perspective. But this is just for me. This is what I've done for a couple of years now. It's been successful, and I've maintained a 5-star rating on Etsy for, I want to say 6 years now. But yeah, I do appreciate checking out my channel, my page, my video. If you like what I'm doing, if you could hit the like, or give me a comment, or you can even ask a question. Shoot, hopefully I answer pretty quickly. Better get me before I'm big time, at the bottom of the barrel now, but I'll be there one day. And subscribe, whatever. I'm gonna leave it up to you, but I do appreciate you watching. And if you got any questions, let me know. If there's any other videos or anything you want to see, if I get enough requests, maybe I'll put it out there. But I got a list of about 50 things that I got on my mind, so we're gonna be getting them out there, and I'm excited to take this next little run and see what we can turn this into. But I'm out.